Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, baby. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Final show of 2023. Hi, everyone. I also am moving to Virginia. Hi, everyone.
What do you mean also moving to Virginia? What are you even referencing there?
I don't know. I was just making a joke. I'm not. I'm staying in Maryland, player.
What are you talking
That's
about?
what I'm doing. I'm staying in Maryland, player.
You got big New Year's plans?
No. I got the game Sunday.
Yeah, I know.
And then I'm going to be tired. And
Right.
my wife's going to want to do something, and I'm going to grumble.
Fair
and
enough.
then we're going to either have people at our house or go to someone else's house because we still have an 11-year-old. So I don't think we're not at the spot where we could reasonably go out. And
You're not at the age where you go out anyways.
I don't want to go out.
I'm at the age where I don't go out.
I don't like New Year's as the holiday.
New Year's is the most overrated, quote-unquote, holiday to do stuff. Like hanging with friends is fine, but like the going out thing is...
Well, you get gouged.
You're starting at $100, $150 in this city. Starting.
You get gouged. You're in a room with people you don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't really want to be there.
Getting home is a you-know-what show
Yeah.
because no one wants to get in trouble. And
Yeah.
luckily, Metro is going to like 2 a.m., so I'll give them that. They expanded it this year.
All
But,
the stops open or no?
They are. Yeah, they actually did say they're all going to be open. They finished ahead of time.
Can Potomac Yards handle the crush of people? Or no?
What's Potomac Yards doing? I'd like to see.
I'd like to see that.
Rave on the construction site.
I'm having a fireworks show, everybody.
Rave on the construction site actually sounds kind of fun.
Could be. So, no, I don't have big plans. I want to
right.
get through the game. I've actually had a little head cold all week, so I just want to get through the game. And then, as you might imagine, I'm not expecting a good outcome this weekend.
Some of us have
especially
Christian
off
McCaffrey.
of the news.
Some of us have Christian McCaffrey on their fantasy team. So
This could go, well, I think the good news for you is because he still could win the MVP because of the season that he's having, I think Kyle will profile him. I don't expect this to go very well this weekend, especially off of the news of how many people in our secondary aren't playing. So this is not good.
for just
Fuller, St. Juice,
Yep.
and Butler all out
Yep.
this
Tyler
weekend.
Larson, Charles Leno also listed as out too.
Those two less of a problem to me than the other three.
Right.
Tariq Castro-Fields is probably going to play a good amount this weekend. He hasn't played really at all, and either against Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel.
Great.
So this is one heck of a matchup for them defensively, and I don't need to remind you that they have the 32nd ranked defense coming into the game, and San Francisco is a machine on offense. So
And they're angry.
they're angry. They also now have to win again.
Yep.
Because of the loss the other night, they are in a position where they do have to win again and then hope for the best this weekend, which they probably won't get enough losses because Philadelphia's playing Arizona at home. So this probably means San Francisco will have to win out to get the 1 seed. But either way, they got to play this weekend. We also know how Kyle feels about the.
He has mellowed out though. Like he mellowed out.
Well, at this point, I mean, what's there to be mad about?
I
They
think, wasn't
cleaned
it-
house. There's nothing here to be mad at.
It was
I don't
last
think.
year, I think. He was asked about it. I forget who he had on from the Bay Area. I forget which reporter we had, and it was kind of calmed down because I think he respects Rivera.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about Dan anymore, essentially. And plus, Dan at that point was already selling. So I think what they scored 38 last year. That sounds about right. What they would score
I
this
think it
time
was something
around.
like 37,
Yeah.
37, 35, if I remember right, something like that. I could tell you right now. Let me see. 37-20. That was the final score last year in my notes as we get set for the game.
Do you want to tell the people about Brissett too, just because we haven't mentioned that as well?
That was a surprise today. Jacoby Brissett apparently injured his hamstring yesterday at some point. It went undisclosed until today.
Awesome.
And then today, he was at practice, but he didn't take all the reps. So he's going to be listed as questionable with a hamstring injury. And it's possible that if this doesn't get much better, that Sam Howell's going to start this weekend. Which, after all of that,
how about that mental break, pal?
Holy cow.
Against that front? Awesome.
Holy cow.
Can't wait.
Holy cow. So we're going to ask Chase to be real nice. That's what happens here. Let's just be real nice.
Not Bosa?
So
I'd rather ask Bosa nicely.
they're not saying he's out, but the fact that
Warner.
he's on the list, so that happened today, which was full-on surprise when they announced that one. I was like, whoa. So we'll see what happens this weekend. This is not adding up to this adds up to, if you somehow still have the 49ers in your survivor pool, you're feeling pretty good about all that this weekend because there's just a lot happening here. Honestly, for them to pull this off, they need the 49ers to have a really bad day, like some kind of unusually terrible bad day. And so let's just get through that, and then I'll see how I feel about New Year's after that one. Just ring in the new year, boys. I think I'm going to turn on Seacrest. That's what I think is going to end up happening for my night.
Just wanted to check here. Weather is clear on Sunday. That's your only shot of that being a close game, I think. Because remember, we had that
downpour. You wanted the Military Bowl downpour?
Well, remember when they played the Niners like 4 years ago? It was a monsoon. Remember, it was only
9-0.
Yeah, 9-0. It was a terrible game.
It is actually the last time Washington was shut out in a game.
Oh, wow.
Was that one, 9-0.
That was Jay's last year, I think, 2019, I want to say.
Yeah. It was a monsoon. It was scoreless at half. Niners won 9-0, and then afterwards we're like running around doing like the slip and slide thing.
Yeah. And that was one of those ones where you always know the weather's bad when you punt the football or the football hits the ground and it just stays in one place on the grass. So yeah, that was a bad one.
One quick thing before I get back into the NFL, because I just want to bring up and I don't want to forget about it. Pop-Tarts, you win.
Oh, fantastic.
I don't need to spend a lot of time talking about this, but you guys win.
On the day.
These gags, which is Duke's Mayo, Pop-Tarts, Cheez-It hasn't quite gotten it as right as Pop-Tarts did.
They started it, though. Remember they had the Cheez-It mascot?
Yes.
Like, that was the first. He walked so everyone else could run.
So it's better than the games now.
Yes, correct.
It gets way more play than the games. I don't know, even as I sit here and talk about it right now, I don't know who played in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I don't know who played in it, let alone won it. All I do know is I saw everything around it. The mascot went into a toaster. The mascot
came out of a toaster first.
Right. That's right. The mascot came out and was eaten. Anish Shroff, who has become amazing at doing gags, called the Pop-Tarts Bowl and announced, in perfect announcer voice, that this mascot will be devoured. He will be eaten.
He will die.
He will die, which was amazing in its own right. And I don't know who played in the game, but all the people at Pop-Tarts, chef's kiss, boy, did you get it right. You have upped the game because everything viral out of this game was that edible Pop-Tart and all the things that they did. I think they had him singing something in the middle of the game at some point.
I don't know. It was Kansas State, by the way, 28-19 winners over NC State. So
if you gave me 100 guesses, I wouldn't have come up with that. I had no clue who was in it. So this value was there.
Yep.
Pop-Tarts, it doesn't even matter who played the game. They stole the day.
Yeah.
And this is probably going to happen more and more and more. The Duke's Mayo thing. Everybody knows what Duke's Mayo is now.
Yeah, you and I had this conversation
Everybody
last year.
knows what it is because of that bowl game and because of the gags that they pull around it.
You and I had this discussion last year how 5 years ago, I'm sure the number one Mayo was Hellman's.
Yeah.
Now
people need to have their heads rolled over there at Hellman's.
Right. And now it's Duke's Mayo.
Duke's Mayo is just killing it over this. They found a very bizarre vehicle to get into the ecosystem.
Right.
And it works, and it keeps going up and up and up. I saw one from the Duke's Mayo Bowl the other day where the reporter licked some mayo off of the guy who had the mayo dumped on him. So now we got Pop-Tarts, and that was killer. They pulled a full-on, the ideas were flowing for that, because if you just go put in Pop-Tarts Bowl into Twitter, you will not believe the videos that came out of it.
It's also, by the way, they clearly told everyone that was working on it to have the same attitude. Who's the guy from The Ringer? Is it Roger Sherman? Is that his name?
He's great. I know, he's a great writer.
He went up to the mascot at some point. I think it was halftime, with a Pop-Tart. It was should I eat this in front of you? Is that cannibalism or something? And the Pop-Tart just kind of grunted and took the Pop-Tart and fed it to him.
Oh.
Which I was
yeah.
I don't think you could do that to a female reporter.
No.
But with him, it was perfect. So there's a photo of the Pop-Tart mascot feeding him a Pop-Tart, which is just fantastic.
The Pop-Tart came out of the toaster and sang something. And then then they had a whole thing for the Pop-Tart to come down to be eaten by the winners.
So that was the whole thing. It was a toaster. So he came out of the toaster at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he went into the toaster and then came out of the bottom.
Yes.
To be eaten.
To be eaten. So I think there's a lot
that said dreams do really come true.
Yes,
by the way.
there must be some other brands going, all right, How do we top this now? And you know what? Like for all these bowl games now matter for this, which I guess if you're in the Kansas State locker room, you're probably like, I can't believe the Pop-Tarts are bigger than us, but they are.
Right.
So whatever. Well, I guess whatever.
I mean, here's the real thing now. Okay, we had this discussion of like for years we've had it. How many bowl games are too many? Who really cares about these?
It's like the Weed Eater Bowl, but who cares?
Right.
Do you even remember that the Weed Eater was part of it? Like, who cares?
But it's because all these committees run these bowl games. You know how this works. People get paid to put these events on and do the sponsorships and all of this stuff. The thing is, they all took it really seriously. We now have like 3 bowls that don't take themselves seriously, and everyone jumps right on board.
Yes.
This is the beginning. Everybody's going to have a bit moving forward. Everyone's going to have a mascot. Here's the other thing, by the way. ESPN. Stop freaking cutting away at the end of these things. They cut away from the end of them starting to eat the Pop-Tart.
That's the best part of the whole thing.
They did this with the Duke's Mayo Bowl, where they cut away to get to the next bowl game. Dude, no one cares about the other bowl games. They care more about the end of these bits than they do the actual games.
And you ought to know this more than anybody. The reason why college football is as popular on your network is because an old man puts a mascot head on his head every Saturday.
Yes, correct.
If you cut away from that, people would be like, why did you cut away from the best part of the whole thing?
Exactly.
He's going to put either an elephant or a bulldog head on his head.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, I'm like, come on, guys. You guys know where your bread is buttered. Like, just lean into it, please. That's all everyone wants to see.
We'll have to see what's next. I don't know. We'll have to figure out what's next.
Military Bowl becomes the Ben's Chili Bowl.
Well, so, all right. So, because off of this, and I want to give myself a little bit of credit because I work with them a little bit, the new sponsor there is GoBowling.com.
Oh, okay.
I was all over them. I was like,
where are the pin mascots? Where's the bowling mascot?
What are we doing here? I want a giant bowling, giant pins in the middle.
Yeah.
And the mascot from Virginia Tech is bowling at it.
That'd be great.
The green wave comes out and bowls into it. What are we doing here, guys? There's got to be a lot of ways to work this out. I'm also, I'll just say this publicly. I was told it was possible that they were going to give me a bowling ball with a picture of my face on it. I didn't get that. And you just shouldn't have told me that was possible.
You do get your hopes up for something like that.
Of course.
That makes it into the Zoom background.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? I was like, you get me that, I'll do anything with it. You tell me what you want me to do with it. And it didn't happen. So, now that they're going to hear this, they're probably going to be like, all right, get them one for next year.
Or somebody has a Bram Weinstein bowling ball in their bag.
If they do a match.
Some kid on Virginia Tech is like,
imagine
guy?
I go to Bolero one night and somebody's like, look at that bowling ball. Is that you? Someone's got my bowling ball?
Max Weinbrenner on the Hokies has a Bram Weinstein ball.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll see who's next. But Pop-Tarts, Chef's Kiss, guys. Boy, did you get that right. I mean, it's one thing to just sponsor it and then to pull bits, but it was bit on top of bit on top of bit. And my feed was just flooded with it. It was like it took over everything.
Because it was great.
It was great.
It was fantastic.
They were like, all ideas are good ideas. Like that meeting room at Pop-Tarts, it must have been the most exciting time they've ever had in their lives because they were like, we're open to doing anything here.
There was some 25-year-old social media coordinator that was like, we're doing what? And just like eyes lit up. They're like, you're going to handle it all.
That's going to be the next president of ESPN.
That's right. I'm just trying to rack my brain of what other brands.
That's the Noah Eagle of marketing.
Right. Yeah.
Whoever that person is got it right yesterday.
Who are the next brands that are going to do it?
That's what I'm saying.
Shot across the bow, Toaster Strudel needs to do something now. Toaster Strudel hasn't made any noise in a long, long time. They've been awfully quiet for a long time.
I don't know. I feel like I want Count Chocula to show up. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
There already is a Cheerios bowl. I don't
know. I'm not smart enough to figure it out right now, but there's got to be some brands that are watching this going, okay, what can we do to top that?
Yeah, I'm trying to just rack my brain here. There could be you could do like a full-blown like Red Bull bowl. I don't know if they're going to spend that kind of money, but you could do that and then do their remember they do, what's it called, where they fly things over the water?
Oh, they do all the crazy stuff.
Like Flugtagen or something.
They do all the crazy, the extreme
I think Red
things.
Bull should do they should get like a West Coast stadium like on the water, and they could do that like in commercial breaks.
All kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one.
Flying humans, all that type of stuff.
Hot Wheels Bowl.
Okay, see, now that's an incredible idea. The Hot Wheels Bowl.
And then we have just a
giant
crazy
Hot Wheels
track.
cars.
Yeah, crazy track.
Racing at halftime.
Yep, exactly.
Coaches get in them and race each other.
Oh, that'd be great. Be fantastic.
Yeah. Or the big giant looping tracks that you
too.
get
Yep,
that
exactly.
go around the stadium during the game.
Yeah, there's a setup in the parking
Just
lot
constantly
too.
going. Constantly
That's right.
going.
Yeah, that's right. Hot Wheels Bowl.
Yeah, whatever the schools are in it will have their own Hot Wheels made.
Yep.
They race each other.
I got another one. I think I have a good one. WWE Bowl.
Oh, Lord. Well, they've actually been involved with this stuff. Like, they've sent people, they give belts to winners. We did one of those military bowls. Somebody showed up and gave a belt to the champion
Our
last
boy
year.
AJ Francis was at the Cheez-It Bowl, and he had the Cheez-It belt, and he gave it out to the winner, which was just perfect for him. But, no, I think WWE Bowl, and you have a wrestling ring on the concourse where there's just matches going on at all times. And, like, I think
it's either that or we're going this direction, and we're also going probably Saudi Arabia buys all the bowls.
let's not do that.
And all the games are in Riyadh.
Can they eat Pop-Tarts? I don't know. But the WWE Bowl, here's what you do. You have a wrestling ring like on the concourse somewhere, right? Then you also have dummy mascots in the end zone. So when teams score, they get to do a wrestling move on whatever the mascot is
I like
in the
that.
end zone. So you don't know what someone's going to do a Stone Cold Stunner, someone's going to do the Rock Bottom, someone's going to do the Ric Flair Figure 4. Like, I think that's what we go with too. I think that'd be a fun one because everyone watched wrestling growing up at some point in time and has a finisher that they love to do. So
that's true. Okay.
Everyone.
The crowd would show up.
Crowd would go nuts.
The crowd would be incredible.
Yeah, the crowd would be ridiculous.
The crowd would be
It'd be actually a lot of wrestling fans that don't even care about football, probably.
Right. Wrestling fans show up to the football game.
I want to see like Stone Cold come out with a chair, hit somebody with a chair.
Yeah.
I want to see a table set up in the end zone. So if you score, you can jump through the table.
Yeah.
I think that's what we do.
I like it. All right, let me congratulate the Cleveland Browns for only the second time in 21 years they're in the playoffs. They've had 4 different quarterbacks play, and Joe Flacco continues to just light people up.
That's right.
As if he never left. And
he is elite.
Yeah, the funniest part was he could be on the Jets right now, and the Jets could be the Browns.
Correct, yes.
That's the funniest part of the whole thing. Al Michaels was on his A game last night.
He was definitely last day of school in it last night.
He was pumped. He knew he had a ridiculous game.
Yep.
He was pumped. He made an Astros joke because there was banging going on in that stadium that I didn't totally understand.
Oh, it's the fans. So the fans, there's a like metal grate like in front of them on the first row of the upper level. So they were just banging on it, and it's
so
near,
the mics were picking
near
it
one
up.
of the mics, and that's what kept happening the entire
So we heard
game.
the banging, and he did an Astros joke.
Yeah,
Al was really on his A game last night for a game that actually got out of hand pretty quickly. I think they really loved the Flacco story. They were all in on that. And look, like I saw them in the preseason, and I went, watch out now. Like that team's got a real defense over there, and I thought Deshaun would be back. This Stefanski guy, what are they? They got 12 wins? 11? 11.
Hold on.
They're 11-5, right?
Yeah, they are
11-5.
Yep. All right.
11-5, 4 different quarterbacks. One was playing with his kids 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
One was a 5th-round pick rookie. Another's been a journeyman. And the other guy, who we know all about him.
Luckily, he's shuffled into the background now.
Nick Chubb doesn't play for them right now.
Right.
Maury Cooper didn't play last night. Whatever. That's just last night.
Still.
I don't know.
He's coach of the year.
I think he might be.
He's coach of the year. The other one is, have you seen what everyone's rooting for now?
What?
They're rooting for them to win the last 2 and the Ravens to win to lose the last 2. And if they win the division, the talk is going to pick up because Lamar is probably the MVP right now. But now everyone's going to say there's going to be an argument that Joe Flacco should be the MVP because he came in and they're going to win the division over the best team in the AFC. So.
Don't totally laugh. Like, it's possible.
Yeah.
Because they're playing Miami this week. Yep. So who knows, right?
Exactly.
That's a who knows. And then they get Pittsburgh.
Yes, exactly.
And Pittsburgh is probably playing for the playoffs at that point.
Correct.
And every one of those games that they play with those two teams, it's always close.
They're not going quietly. Yeah.
It's always close.
Right.
So if Cleveland wins that division, I think there is a no doubt that he is the coach of the year.
Right.
And Flacco's got to be comeback player of the year if that works out that way. What is it, 4 straight?
Fix is already in for comeback.
For Hamlin?
Yeah, Hamlin.
Not that I want to dismiss this.
I agree with what you're about to say.
He's barely played.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I appreciate that he's healthy, that he made the team, that he's there. I appreciate that. But he hasn't played very much, and I don't know the specific reasons. I would guess some of them have to do with they're a little nervous about him going back out on the field. in the same way that Ron Rivera and company were a little nervous about Alex Smith going back out on the field after the injuries that he had. Like, you don't want to see him get hurt again. It's just, they're human beings here, guys. Like let's be careful about this. But he hasn't played very much. So while I appreciate that he came back and he's healthy and he's been able to make the football team again, I don't know, man. Like the story of the guy who won a Super Bowl years ago and like was out of a job and then shows up and is flying in on a flying carpet right now with them on a franchise that hadn't won jack nothing ever. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's a hard storyline to ignore.
Right. No, I would
especially
agree.
if they win the division, which may not happen. All it takes is the Ravens win one of these two games. But still, I mean, even in the playoffs with 11 wins, I don't know, man. Like, that's hard to kind of ignore that happened.
No, I agree. It should happen. I just, how the NFL does this. It's a PR move. They want to wheel him out there one more time to say, he's back, he's healthy, played a little bit. I'm with you, though. It should be Flacco. Like, any other year, it would be bar none Flacco.
I mean, I got to give them credit, too. So here's another one. Like, as we look ahead to the future, I've been thinking a lot about, like, who does this organization want to try to emulate? And Cleveland isn't the first team that would come to mind because of the lack of success over the years. But this year is a very interesting, I guess, example of they were built to win,
yes,
even amid all of the different problems that they had. And they have some things that I value. They have a really good offensive line. They've had it for a couple of years now.
See you there, coaches.
They are, Billy Bill. Oh, Billy Bill knows what he's doing.
Callahan was a stud here. I mean, every time he was thrown the worst situations, he had an offensive line duct taped together, ready to go for a game. That's all he did. He was probably my favorite coach that's been here in a long time, position coach in a long time. But yeah, that's why that offensive line looks silly.
He's a professional. He knows what he's doing, but they have very good talent. They've spent draft capital on it too, but very good talent up there.
Yeah.
They have been aggressive to build around their roster. Like, they went and got Za'Darius Smith. They went and got Amari Cooper. They went and got Deshaun Watson. Like, they're not scared to go out and spend some money to try to improve. They've drafted pretty well here in recent years. So they're an odd one. Maybe this is just, this doesn't feel like it's that off to me. I remember coming into the season, I said, I could make a case for any of the four in that division to win, depending on how things go. Pittsburgh was the one that I was like, you got to show me the quarterback. I don't really know. I assumed Deshaun would be better. This is pretty enlightening that they're in the playoffs with that number of wins based on all the attrition that they had. So I'd want to deep dive their roster, how they built it, who built it, Andrew Berry and company. And I do wonder if that's someone, I don't know if you're emulating that franchise because they haven't had a lot of success, but I don't know if I'm not poking around that front office a little bit to see what's going on there, or poking around how they've coached a little bit to see what's going on there. Because I know the easy ones are always to say, let's look at the 49ers, let's look at the Eagles, let's look at the Ravens. Off of what happened on Monday night and off of the Ravens' stability and success rate, I do want to take a hard look at that defensive coordinator because they are playing what I think is above and beyond the talent level that's on I think they have a good team. I don't think they have a great team. I think they have some holes, but they are playing above and beyond it. And the other night was a very telling performance by that group. And their defense has been solid throughout the majority of the year. And that guy has now coached under both Harbaugh's collegiate level, highest level, now the pro level. That's a model of consistency up the road. He's someone I'm very interested in coaching-wise. But from the front office stuff, we always point to San Francisco, Philadelphia, Baltimore, the three teams that seem to have kind of their you-know-what together constantly. When all the things change, they're able to fix the problems. Like you said yesterday, Howie Roseman's going to fix things. I believe it too, because they've done it over and over and over. However this ends up, he's going to make some changes, and you're going to go, oh, here we go again with them. I already know it. It's going to happen with them.
There's going to be people that doubt him because it's going to be something that nobody's comfortable with.
I got to tell you, as much as everybody loves this Sirianni guy, if it slips the wrong way one more year, they will shift away from him. Watch.
I agree.
They will, because he's not been afraid to do it. They did it with Peterson. He did it with Chip Kelly. They'll do it again. They know when it's going sour. I don't think it's going to happen this year. He's won too many games. But I give one more if it starts going the wrong way again and it's weird. That'll be it for him.
Did you hear his quote after the game on Monday? They were like, how'd that go, whatever. And he said, I was too tense.
He's feeling it.
You were too tense on Christmas Day against the Giants, bro? Come on. Get your team
Come on
eased
now.
up. Like, you shouldn't have to be.
Why are you guys squeezing it so hard?
Right.
The schedule opened up for you. You got cutlets. What are you guys doing?
Like,
You're home.
You're good enough. You knew you were going to get Cutlets benched, and you knew Tyrod was going to come in at some point because he's healthy. Like, that was a really weird one. Like,
you got to stay calm. Keep calm, guys.
You got to keep your composure.
You got to keep your composure. But anyway, back to the point. I like that Cleveland roster. I saw it in the summer. A couple years ago when Cincinnati turned it around real fast, I went, well, if Burrow's good, watch out, because I like their roster. Same thing here. I like what Cleveland's got. I like what they built. I don't know how far they're going to go. I think they're going to be a very interesting story in the postseason. I'll tell you what, if they get lucky and somehow win that division and get a home game, it's going to be a very tough place to play because those people have been waiting a long time to walk in there in January and root for their team. That's unlikely. I would think Baltimore will at least win one of these next two, but it's not easy, so you never really know. And Miami just beat Dallas, so they had as equally as an impressive win as Baltimore did the other day. So who knows? So the pressure will be on Baltimore next week if it gets there.
Right.
I'm going to look at Andrew Berry and what's going on there. And I think that's another one I'm going to poke around. Who's working underneath him? What are they doing? They're also very analytic driven.
Yep.
They've been very aggressive. And if you told me that the Deshaun thing would go completely bust, but they'd be fine and win double-digit games, I never would have believed you. So they're doing something right over there from a roster perspective that I'd want to take a look at. All right, let me take a quick break. Bram wants to show ESPN 630 Sports Capital.
Whatever, it's fine. Yes, I know that he's fine.
This is Olivia Rodrigo. Callow's going to play us out today for 2023 with some of the biggest stars and hit makers of 2023, and she is certainly one of them. I don't know if you saw her performance on Saturday Night Live. If you have not, it is worth checking it out. She is a massive talent. She did what might as well have been music video worthy performance in one of the songs that she performed where she ends up crawling on a table like she's out of a horror film.
It's pretty ridiculous. Like, in a good way. In a good way.
In a good way.
It's very punk rockish, too.
Really incredible. We're going to go see her next year, actually. She's going to be at Cap One. You know, before they close it down, they're going to have an Olivia Rodrigo concert there. Thank you to the country of Qatar for allowing that to happen. So I'm going to go see that next summer. I'm excited.
Are
to
you
go
going to
see
that
her.
one? Is that confirmed?
Well, I only have 2 tickets, so it's going to be a big argument. We'll see. It's going to be a big argument. We'll find out. I'd like to go see her, actually. So I'm going to. She's a big talent, so I'm excited to go see her.
She's like the Dua Lipa level for me. I probably just need to see her once, but just to say I saw her, because I feel like I made this mistake with Taylor Swift. I passed on it so many times, and now I can't afford to go to that concert. So
That's right.
I'm out on that. So,
yes.
Yeah.
I'll also, throughout the day, give you kind of some headlines as we head into segments, and this one's going to be. I'm just going to give you the craziest headline that I've seen recently of 2023, which I find amazing. This one's from the Daily Beast. Mm-hmm. A Chinese chess champion who was accused of using anal beads equipped with wireless transmitters to cheat has been stripped of his title over another allegation of misbehavior, defecating in a hotel bathtub.
Are the two related?
I don't know.
It's
hard to know. It's hard to know. I didn't bother opening this story. I'd heard enough. I don't need any more details than that. It's quite a nice summation of the whole thing that occurred there.
Whoever had to investigate that probably thought it was a real pain in the ass,
Yeah.
Bram.
All right. Meantime, let's see. Second to last game for Ye Olde Commanders. We got a little homecoming this weekend. Chase Young is back. Trent Williams is back. I'd like to start with Trent, actually, because
as you should, as everyone should, by the way.
I think, actually, this has been a little underreported this week.
I've been trying to say it to you for a month.
Nobody has brought it up to Rivera. I've been watching the press conferences. I was out there today. I didn't bring it up either.
I will say this. It's because they've played each other the last couple of years. Like, it's been there.
That's true.
So they played, but it's the first time he's back here. Like, that's what I'm saying.
First time he's back
I was trying to pass along to you, like, you're going to run a highlight package for that guy? Because he's going to go in the Ring of Fame wherever the new stadium is. Like, let's go.
I think it would be, for the new ownership group, put a bug in the ear that at some point in the middle of the game, show him.
Yes.
Show
him. Say thanks for your service. Show him, just pancaking dudes left and right. Like,
just show him.
He was the bright spot and consistently the bright spot for 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, not 10 years.
The
like
new ownership group may not have been paying as close attention to the things that have been happening in the recent past few years, but when they decided to put out a poll for who should be added to the 90th anniversary team, he was unwisely left off the list initially, and the public and the fan base mobilized to tell everybody over there, you're making a mistake.
Right.
He's a Hall of Famer. We drafted him.
Yes.
Like, you have to put him on this list, and they wisely did because he belongs there. He's going to be in the Ring of Fame, in my opinion, at some point. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I agree. Like, this is one of those things where put him up mid-game, not before the game, mid-game at some point during a timeout, put a camera on him and let the fans cheer him. It's the first time that he is back here as a member of the 49ers, and he's one of the best offensive linemen in the franchise's history.
That's right. Which is saying something, by the way.
Which is really, of all groups, is really saying something. So I believe that, like, we should honor him. I agree. I didn't want to go down memory lane with Rivera because it is not something he did. This happened pre him showing up, the thing with his, whatever, the tumor in his head that had to be removed. And he was very angry at the team for the way that they either misdiagnosed him or treated him or whatever. I'm not even totally sure exactly what happened. I remember even at the time I was like, the athletic trainers are not specialists in things like this. So I don't know how you were asking an orthopedist to understand how to deal with a brain tumor, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Like, I get it. You don't feel like you were treated properly when you were here, and I could see why you want to sever the relationship with the team and move on. I understand. Rivera, though, clean slated it, and they had a meeting, and it apparently did not go a particular way. And I didn't want to ask him about it because, over the last few years, they could have used a couple more really good offensive linemen on this team. And he was...
Could have used some serviceable offensive linemen.
Yeah. So it's one of those...
Take it down a notch if you want.
I mean, like, he is one of those where I go, things might have been different and you made up with him. Might have been different if you made up with him.
Correct.
So
yes,
there's that.
Exactly. And it's like, by the way, he was not... His play never dropped either. Like, he went to the Niners and he looked perfectly fine. I don't know what the big deal was with that. Like, more money could have fixed that, and I think it would have been worth every penny.
The most interesting part of the whole thing was, even at the time when he was really mad at the team doctors, he went out of his way to say that Dan Snyder was very supportive of him.
So weird.
Flew him on his private jet to the specialists in the Midwest where they actually, held the operation. Said he was there visiting with him. So it seemed like, at least publicly, he had no ill will towards the ownership. He had ill will towards the medical doctors. Right. Well, once they cleaned out the staff, it included some of the medical doctors. I don't know why they couldn't have figured out a way to make up, but they just didn't.
Right.
So there's that one. Then there's Chase Young. And so, as I'm getting ready for the game, I'm watching a lot of the 49ers. I don't like what I see. I think it's going to be a rough one this weekend. Real rough one. Anyway,
Great.
I'm watching Chase pretty closely because, I haven't seen a lot of Montez. I heard he's killing it out there in Chicago, and his numbers would suggest that he is. And, maybe I'll take some time in the offseason to take a look at him a little bit. But in this case, I'm watching Chase Young a little bit. And the way I would describe it is this. Same.
Yep.
It's the same.
Right.
It's, he's an elite athlete. So there are some moments where he blows plays up. He often is not unlike when he was here. He's guessing wrong on RPOs, stuff like that. It's not there on a consistent, every down effort. He only has 1.5 sacks in the 7 games he's been there.
Right.
So it's not like he's having impact plays, not a ton of them. There's not a lot of tackles for losses. He's in the backfield a good amount, but he's not unlike it was here. He's not really finishing a lot. I felt like that the 49ers acquiring him was, why not? We're not giving up much. We're giving up a compensatory
They're basically
pick.
swapping the pick down.
He's not getting a ton of money. He's not owed anything beyond this year. They're like, I think their position was, all right, bring him in here. If he ends up making a few plays in a big game, then he was worth every penny of it. And if he doesn't, well, we're not going to re-sign him anyway after this year. They already paid Bosa and Fred Warner and Hargrave, and they're going to have to pay Greenlaw, and they've paid guys on offense like McCaffrey and Debo. Like, there's no room for him unless he's a stud, and, hate to break it to everybody who wants to hear otherwise. He's not.
Yep, right.
And but that doesn't mean that, I'm going to be very happy to see him. I always really liked him a lot, like just the guy.
Yeah, sure.
He is, to me, a definition of promise unfulfilled. That's different than Trent. Trent lived up to everything we could have hoped for out of a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Chase did not. Some of it is not his fault. He suffered an injury that was devastating, and it really ruined a year and a half of his career. But the first year and the first half of the second year and this year, the first half of this year, He was really good for a short period of time, and that's it.
Yep.
And listen, that happens, which is why, like, a lot of times when I hear people talk about, we got to get this draft pick or that draft pick, I'm like, well, they don't always end up being what you think they're going to be.
Right.
And, and he's one of them.
The first two defensive players off the board, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it him and Okudah? Weren't they the first two? And neither one of them panned out.
Okudah's on his second team as well.
Yeah, Okudah got traded. I mean, they didn't even bother playing the string. Like, he was traded in, like, training camp.
Yes.
So that's both. I think those were the first two defensive players. I don't think there was anyone else. But, yeah, I mean, neither one of them worked out. The one with Trent, too, was, remember the draft talk on Trent was, it was either you take Trent Williams or Russell Okung. And Okung was good, but was not Trent by any means at all whatsoever.
Okung had a very good career.
Very good career, but he was not the same level as Trent. Right. Bounced around a couple times, then got the one-year deals because he was a solid pro, but he was not Trent.
Trent Williams might be the best left tackle of the last decade.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It's very possible.
Yeah, Thomas maybe in Cleveland, but that'd be about it.
Sure. He's a surefire Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no doubt about it. In Chase's case, it just, it's a little, I hate to put it this way, but like, because Montez went to Chicago, and I'm not surprised about this, that like, boom, he got unlocked a little bit. Yeah. Like, that was the one, after the trade deadline, I went, I understand why Chase was traded. They weren't going to re-sign him for many reasons because of his health. It really had a lot less to do with performance and all that stuff. It had a lot to do with his health. They just couldn't commit that kind of money to somebody not knowing what his future is health-wise.
Yeah.
In Montez's case, I went back and forth going, I could see either way here. Like, this guy's a really, really good player, and in the right place might put up big numbers, and then you're going to start paying him like a guy who does things like that. So I was 50-50 on it, and I was sold enough to go, all right, did they get good value? I guess I don't think they got bad value for him, but, if he goes over there and he's a 15-sack guy for Chicago, you're going to wonder, how did we miss so badly on something like that? In Chase's case, it's a little, I hate putting it this way, it's a little reassuring that he's on that defense, but doing the exact same things he was doing here. It just reassures you that the right decision was made at the trade deadline.
I agree with you on that. To Sweat's point, too, though, I always look at some of these trades, though, as hockey trades, and you know what I mean by this. You get a couple players in hockey where things just aren't clicking with their team, and sometimes you just swap the players, and all of a sudden they wake up because it's a new environment. It just is you have a different teammates. Like, they get out of their routine, all of a sudden they're energized. That's what I thought Sweat was going to be. Like, I actually thought wherever he was going to get traded to, he was going to blow up a little bit more, just because that's what happens with some of these players. And he always struck me as the type of, oh, I'm at somewhere new, I need to step my game up a little bit, and he has.
The interesting part with both of them was I always thought the messaging for both of them was a little unclear, really, on both sides. Like, they would often talk about, you need to finish, but then they would also often talk about how they had to play their specific positions a certain way. And I would see, like,
that
for
worked
them,
out this year, didn't it?
Well, I would go like, well, it can't be both. Like, if you're asking them to go get the quarterback, and then every once in a while you get beat around the edge. Well, it can't be both.
Right.
And in Sweat's case, there was no health issue that was kind of limiting him. In Chase's, it was the other. Yep. All right, let me take a quick break. Bram Washington Show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital. Doja Cat, who the surprise of 2023 for me is that I now like her.
That's both of us. I mean, well, I was on her before you were.
This.
Yeah, I was on her before you were.
I thought it was all whatever, but like, I like everything that's going on now. She's she's admitted she's the real her now.
Yes.
So I like her now.
Yeah.
And I like this song a lot.
Yep.
Headline as we get into a.
Oh God! What?
I didn't warn you. Come on, this is a big weekend now.
I feel like I got the mayo dumped on me all of a sudden.
Headline is, FSU got screwed. That's the college football season for you right there. Actually, I think Georgia more than Florida State, frankly. But, like, both of them did. And this is, like, the first time with the BCS. I mean, what were they going to do? There were 6 teams that were supposed to get in. They only have 4 slots for it. This was the year where it was kind of like they should have done the NBA thing. 1 plays 2, 3 plays 4, 5 plays 6.
Right.
Winner of 3-4 plays winner of 5-6.
Yeah.
And then the winner gets the winner of that. Feels like what should have happened here.
Probably.
Because they all should have been in. Couldn't they have called an audible and go, we're putting all 6 in? And who would have said no to that?
No one would have said no because the revenue would have gone crazy.
Every network would have been like, we'll show that game.
We'll move whatever we got to move.
Just like, why couldn't they have done it? Just change the rules.
This is where, like,
it's the last year of this anyway. Who cares? You make up your own rules anytime you want.
This is where America, like, is so bad with some of their decisions. The easiest thing was to just go ahead and do that, and then everybody just rushes to get it done, and it would get done easily because you know what we do best in this country? Run football games. It would have taken nothing to do.
Be like, here's what we're going to do. 1 and 2 both have no losses. They get a bye. 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5.
Right.
Winners go into a bracket, and then we play it from there.
Right.
How about that?
Right.
And you know who would have liked that? Everybody.
Correct.
Everybody would have liked that.
Yeah, Texas would have been like the only one to be like irked about it, I think.
No, but you'd have 2 undefeated teams.
Yeah, no.
Michigan and Washington would get buys. And everyone would get mad that Washington got a bye, but whatever.
Right.
But they went undefeated. The other ones all have 1 losses.
Right.
So go ahead. Do it.
Makes too much sense. That's the problem.
Too much sense.
Not for that organization.
I don't know what I got to see some highlights of the Cotton Bowl, but apparently score after 3, Kentucky 21, Clemson 10. Final score, Clemson 38, Kentucky 35.
All right, then.
So things went cuckoo down there in the Big D. All right, here we go. Paul, you know what's going on this weekend? I'm going to watch that football. It's New Year's for suckers. I'm going to stay home and watch all my teams, including that rascal Lane Kiffin going to be playing in Atlanta, Georgia at the Peach Bowl.
You don't even know where they're playing. You don't even have your ducks in a row over there. You're going to do it.
Against Penn State. Give me, who knows?
You did all that. You did all of that, and you're not even going to pick the game.
I'm
shredding you right now.
I'm going to take Ole Miss go win in the Peach Bowl against them nittany.
You didn't even do tonight's game? Tonight's game's actually good.
What is that, Ohio State?
Yeah, Ohio State, Missouri.
I'm going to take Missouri to knock off Ohio State because their quarterback left on them, and he went to Syracuse.
Although Ohio State
is Marvin Harrison even playing in this?
Oh, there's
no chance, right?
But Ohio State's
Missouri.
stacked. Ohio State's stacked regardless.
We'll see now, will we? I'll hang up and listen to your answers on the phone lines. Let's see, 2 o'clock tomorrow, Auburn and Locks, baby. Down in Nashville.
It's a good trip.
That is a good trip. You can still make it 2 p.m. You can make it 2 p.m. I can get home. I can go down there, watch the Terps play Auburn. No Talia.
If you were 30, you'd fly there and then fly back the morning of for the game. That's what you would do.
I don't know. Give me Auburn. Right? Give me Auburn.
No, Maryland's good in bowl games. What are you talking about?
That's right. They are.
Maryland. They are. I'm going the Terps.
4 o'clock, the game that should have happened for a playoff. The consolation game, Georgia, Florida State, where Georgia is a 3-touchdown favorite.
Yeah.
If they go and destroy them, it will shut the whole thing up fast.
I don't
know whether Georgia will do that or not, but it will stop all of the nonsensical talk about they should have been there. If they go out there and beat them 49-7, everyone's going to be like, see?
I feel like I shouldn't even mention this on the air, but I need to. The college football Reddit, which is my favorite Twitter account, because all it does is it just aggregates everything from Reddit on college football because everyone knows everybody. This is the most rumor mill thing of all time. Some donor for Florida State, I guess, met with another donor from Georgia, they're friends. And the Florida State donor said to Georgia, well, you guys should be fine because ESPN is paying your guys to make sure they play so they beat the hell out of us so nobody talks about it.
Ha! Get out of here.
Uh-huh. That's not me reporting anything. That's literally message board fodder. But to me, that is actually full-blown conspiracy theory that I could see happening.
That can't be true.
Why not? ESPN has a million sponsors. They have a million sponsors that they could go, hey, we need you to say to a couple of these guys, kick them with a bonus with some NIL money so they play in the game. And then when they kill Florida State, it's all a wash. Nobody talks about it anymore.
Jeez.
Can't tell me that's not full SEC, too. You cannot tell me that's not full.
That's an all-time conspiracy theory.
And I kind of love it, though.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll take Georgia. They're a better team.
I
also think they're the ones that got screwed, frankly.
Yeah.
They've lost once in 3 years. They lost to Alabama by 3 points. Oh, they're not in the playoff now. Oh, okay.
The problem is Bama chained themselves to Texas, and you weren't going to let them in without Texas.
So. They should have put Georgia and Bama in and just screwed Texas over.
No, because Texas is back. You can't do that
Texas
anymore.
is back. That is true.
You can't do that.
So anyway, I got Georgia winning that one.
Right.
And to shut everybody up, too. Toledo, Wyoming, I don't care. Wisconsin takes on LSU in the Bella Quest Bowl.
Relia Quest.
Rella.
It's an
Rella.
R. Wow. Are you okay over there? Can you read? Do you
know.
need glasses?
I've heard, or at least the rumor mill is, if Harbaugh leaves Michigan, Brian Kelly's going to be the one that Michigan goes after. So he could. What does his accent change to?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to have an accent now.
He doesn't have to.
Just get rid of that.
Yeah.
Liberty's playing Oregon. That sounds really like a bad idea.
Good luck there,
That's
Liberty.
happening. That's Fiesta Bowl. Iowa, Tennessee will be the most boring bowl game of all time. Final score 6-5. That's going to be terrible. And then we got two big ones.
Yep.
Oh, here we go now. Alabama, Paul, you're not going to let them Jim Harbaughs win, are you? Alabama and Michigan. Michigan is a favorite in this game. That surprises me a little bit.
That smells a little bit.
That really surprises me. Their defense is really good, though. All right. I can't believe I'm doing this.
No.
Well, it's in the Rose Bowl, right?
Yep.
Isn't it? He's going to be living out there soon, right? Harbaugh?
Maybe.
You think? Can I really pick against Saban in a national semifinal?
Don't overthink it.
Give me Alabama by a touchdown.
It's the right call.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Michigan's defense, I do really believe in.
This is the old reverse Vegas stink. They're trying to beg you.
How is Michigan a favorite here?
Right, that's what I'm saying. This is the old they're trying to outsmart the outsmart. And granted, it's only 1.5 points, so they think it's going to be a close game. But I think they're begging you to take Michigan that you think that's your sharp.
These are this one and the Florida State Georgia game. The post-game press conferences and interviews are going to be amazing in both of them because the Florida State Georgia one is going to be I told you.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Exactly.
And then
Both
the Alabama Michigan one
Yeah.
is going to be, especially if Alabama wins, they're going to be like, oh, you didn't want us in.
That's right.
Did
Yeah,
you?
right.
And the other one is Texas and Washington. I believe Texas is back, but they're going to lose here.
Oh.
Penix lights them up. Give me Washington to get to the championship, and they are going to get roasted by either one of those teams. And I think everybody's going to want the Alabama-Michigan rematch or the Alabama-Texas rematch. I don't think we're going to get it. I think Washington's going to knock them off, and then not unlike TCU a year ago, they're going to get smoked when they play in the national championship against either one of them, actually, I think. So I'll take Alabama and Washington to win. Both close games.
I'll go Alabama-Texas.
All right. You want the rematch.
I want the rematch.
Because Texas is back.
I also think there could be some gamesmanship by Texas. Do we see Arch at some point or something like that?
Ooh,
you know what
that'd
I
be
mean?
fun.
Because they've had a month, right? There's a month
They've had a
off.
month.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Throw him out there?
Yeah, I think that could be.
If they're winning big in the second half, he comes in.
Oh, of course. Yeah, 100%. So, I'm just saying, might be a wrinkle there.
McConaughey's going to have brand new sunglasses.
Yeah, he's going to lose his mind.
He's going to have that burnt orange jacket on. He's going to be looking good.
Ooh, are we going to get a McAfee feed for those
We
games?
must.
We should.
How do we not?
Yeah, we better.
What do we got there? What time is that at?
5 and 8:45. We'll have them live on here, by the way.
Oh, can't wait. Yeah. Also, Ravens-Dolphins, 12:30 pregame Sunday. And UVA's playing Notre Dame, tomorrow?
Yep.
11:30 pregame, 12 p.m. tip. All right, Keim's next. Bram watch the show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital. The 2023 football season here locally, the parade was held before the season. There's not going to be one after the season for sure, but a lot of changes are on its way as we welcome in John Keim for his last weekly visit of 2023 as we head into 2024. John Keim, of course, of ESPN. The John Keim Report. I think I knew, and I think you knew too, the highlight of the season, no matter what, was going to be the sale of the team. I didn't realize how much of a high it would be compared to how the season played out. Did you?
No, I wasn't expecting this grand season just built on the momentum of the sale, but I certainly didn't think it was going to be a disaster. Based on the previous years, I was anticipating in that 7 to 9 range, right? That, if things went, they could get to 8 or 9 wins based on how the defense had played last year and with all those guys back and investing a first and second round pick in the secondary. That you would have thought that would improve, and that, if the offense shows something at the late in the year and you get to the playoffs, you're 9-8, maybe you could win a game. Or if you're 8-9, are you flirting with it? So that's kind of what I was expecting is along those lines. Nothing great, and I don't know that it would have been enough for anybody to keep their jobs, but certainly not this.
No, not at all. Obviously, the news of the week is Sam Howell, who suddenly might have to play on Sunday. We'll have to see how it plays out, because that was surprise of the day was the revelation that Jacoby Brissett suffered a hamstring injury late in the week here and is now listed as questionable. So we'll have to see what happens for Sunday. But if Brissett does play and Howell does indeed become the backup quarterback, how have you kind of thought about the coming around to this decision where they decided he needed to take a break?
I think it was clear that Howell was pressing, and sometimes it's probably good just to and I, from a football perspective, it's the right decision. I also think we're at a point now where no matter what this group decides, fans are going to say it was a bad decision or they're going to complain, whatever, and that's fine. But it's the right decision. And it doesn't mean that Howell can't be a guy who factors here or somewhere in the future. But I think when you watch him play, it was clear that he wasn't effective. And you don't want it to further erode whether it's his confidence or anything. And but he was pressing, and that's all there was to it. And he wasn't playing well, and so it made sense. Now, the question is, where does he go from here? And I don't know. I think he's a very resilient guy. I think he's smart. He works hard. I think all those attributes will still help him will help him stick around in the NFL for a while, whether as is he a mid-tier starter or is he just a really, really good backup? I think that's still to be determined. I'm not going to write him off after 1 year. Like, I don't think, Bram, I know some people may say, oh, he's trash, he's this, he's that. It's 1 year. And there's a long way to go.
The same people who said that are the same people who 5 weeks ago were asking me if he's going to be the quarterback in 2028. So,
right, exactly.
So
it's right. And so I think for him, for most quarterbacks, almost every quarterback, it's about what is the situation you're in. And, certainly early in the year, and we talk about this, this is not even a hindsight, but if you're going to have this kid throw 40-some times a game, you had to do a better job of protecting him. And not that I am not blaming the O-line for everything, because there are absolutely things that a quarterback can do, that a scheme can do, that a coach can do to help. I look at the Cleveland Browns last night, who clinched a playoff spot. Their offensive line is not talented. I mean, you look at, they have a couple really good players, but their tackles, Jerron Christian, who was discarded from here a few years ago, is starting at tackle. Their top two tackles are out. Their backups are out. So the point is, but you wouldn't know it from watching because of quarterback play, because of scheme, because of what they're asking to do, because of balance with the run game. You didn't see that here. So, but if you have a young quarterback who will need more protection to hold the ball, you got to find a way to protect him better, especially for a shorter quarterback in the interior. And they didn't do a good job with that. And so, it wasn't set up for him to have a great deal of success, but he still was having success despite all that. But I just think lately, Bram, he's just been pressing. He's trying to make plays that he doesn't have to make. And I think that's one thing that Brissett offers is take the profit and move on.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things here too. And I want to talk about this, which is, I think, I don't totally all blame him. I think the season got long on him. I think they took a lot of hits early. It's added up. I think he's learning that the NFL season's a very long process. The record is what it is. And I also think, and to your point about the setup and the roster construction and the way the offense was run, the 70-30 pass stuff early in the season, I don't think was helping him all that much. And I'm not surprised we ended up here. We'd have some ups and downs. But there's one other thing that I've been kind of harping on the last few days, and that's just the overall messaging that's been going on this entire year, where I think they just publicly put so much on him that he was going to have to be the success story to tell their story of a vision of the future. And I thought that was a little unfair. He is this inexperienced fifth-round pick. I like all the traits of him too, but when you constantly publicly message that he's the linchpin of what, your vision is, well, guess what happens? The media starts asking questions every week as if it's a referendum about him. So I think mentally he might have been a little bit spent with the things that were going on this year, honestly.
Oh, it definitely could be. There's a lot more. It's a lot harder to play that position now when you're a young kid than it ever was. because of the constant scrutiny and the widespread scrutiny in it, whether it's social media or whether it's just the media in general. Now, Sam is not someone I don't think he spends a lot of time on social media. However, you are asked all the time about everything, and it's also like, you're right. It was clear that this group felt like if they could leave nothing else here, if they could solve the quarterback position, then they could kind of ride off into the sunset regardless of what happens and say, well, at least they left this. And, so it certainly became a lot about that. But there's nothing wrong with trying to grow and develop a young quarterback. And he's a guy that a lot of people liked before the draft, whether here or elsewhere, or had rated as a second or third round pick. So it wasn't a stretch to roll with him. So, but there was a lot put on him. The problem, and that's the thing, like the defense stunk. That's the bigger problem this year, or that was during the season. But it put so much of the onus, not just what they said, but how they handled it and what was going on. It put so much on him. Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger, when they went in to take over, they didn't have this level of, pressure on their shoulders to carry a team. They had to operate, they had to do well, but they didn't have to try and carry it. Like it became like, well, if they didn't have a good game in offense, they weren't going to win because the defense stunk. But even with offensively, it wasn't hey, just manage the game. It was, you got to make some plays, kid, because they didn't have any other way to move the ball. They had one way to win. That's bad. It's been really, really bad. And I'm certainly not going to make excuses for him, but I think you have to look at all the factors involved. And, he did not play well lately, certainly. But I also don't think that they did a good job around him of making it easier on easing that transition for a guy that you knew would have a transition. He was not a top pick. And, you can all argue, everybody can say, well, he was a first-round pick going into that year. Well, he wasn't a first-round pick because he'd have been picked in the first round. But, so you had to do a better job building something around him, and they did not.
No. And the other thing, and I want to go back to kind of these themes that this team seems to want to foster, and they've been doing it every year, where they just kind of put these messages out there. And very rarely are they really about anything that's in the here and now or the present. And one of the changes that I want to see in 2024 is that this organization just gets in the present and just stops talking about all these things of when, if, and all these things come together, and that's when everything's going to finally turn around. I'm done with that. Like, it's time to... Let's just practice well today. Let's have a good draft. Let's get better. Let's just start having accountability. When you start talking about maturity of defensive linemen, then make them accountable week to week. When you start talking about the quarterback needs to come in and play better, I don't care what degree, like what level he's at. If he doesn't play well, you pull him. Like, it's time to be in the here and now and the present. I don't hear Belichick or the Ravens or some of these other organizations talking about all these things that will happen down the road. They just talk about day to day, and that's really where I'd like to see this organization get to, whatever is next for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of fans are probably saying amen to that because it's right, and yeah, I don't know, I can't top that because I agree, and yeah, I think part of it too is when Ron came here too. There was such an emphasis on "quote unquote" improving the culture. Yeah, that was like the big thing, and it's funny because in talking to some veteran players, and just winning doesn't mean you have a good culture in the locker. And I'm just going to separate locker room. They're in the locker room. Like some of the teams that had the best culture in the locker room here were like 9-7. That 2015 team, you talk to guys in that team, and that culture was great. They were only 9-7, but it was a great culture, and it helped them get there. And even last year, I know I was talking to one veteran player who was talking about that, like the culture. He said, we weren't winning, but the culture in the locker room was really good, and felt like some of that got away from them this year for a few reasons. But but there was so much emphasis on that it's like there was almost became very much big picture about culture, which is fine. It's all important. But I think the way you improve the culture is just by a day-to-day building and not having to harp on it, but just take care of each day.
Yeah, that's where I am on it now. Like every time we get around to these thematics, like now you're also what you've done is if it doesn't quite play out, then you've cornered yourself, and then people start asking you about it. And that's why this Howell thing all year, I thought they put too much pressure on him. And I will give them credit for this because of that, it had to have been a hard decision for Rivera and Bieniemy and company to go, we need to give him a break. But I do think it was the responsible thing to do. And I want to give them credit for doing that, because that can't be easy, because they knew that everybody was going to come back to him and say, here's the guy that you touted as this, and now you're pulling him for the last 2 games of the season, blah, 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 blah. And they knew the shots they were going to take for doing that. But I watched it, and I started getting worried. I was worried about his confidence. He was exhibiting traits I don't want to see in a young quarterback, and I think they did the right thing by him. And I'm with you. I think he has a very good future, whether it's here or somewhere else. But I'm glad they did what they did, and at least it was, I thought, in the end, the responsible thing to do.
Agreed. And like I said, it's the right football move. Listen, there was a chance that this almost happened last week. But I mean, they wanted to see, well, how does he respond? Well, we saw, and it wasn't good. He's still pressing, and it wasn't working for him. So okay, it became a no-brainer. I think they would have gotten more heat if they had done it last week. But, they had no choice. They really didn't. And here's the other thing, Bram, and I know the problem is that they put so much on, well, this season's now become about the growth and development of Sam Howell, but you still have other guys you have to worry about. And you don't want to go into the last 2 games and just knowing you're probably going to get embarrassed. It's hard to swallow that. Like, fans can sit there and say, oh, they want the draft pick. I don't blame them, but that's not what the players want. The players don't give 2 rats behinds about the draft pick. The front office isn't going to be here, most likely. The coaching staff isn't going to be here, most likely. They also know that with the draft pick, it's a crapshoot, no matter where you're picking. And, but the point is, like, so what they want is different than what the fans are going to want. And I understand both sides, but you're the coach, you're answering to those players. And I think you kind of owe it to them to put someone in who's going to give you the best chance to listen. They're so banged up that winning Sunday is asking an awful lot.
Yeah.
But you can be more competitive, and you can have a Terry McLaurin maybe having a stronger finish just because you have a quarterback in there who maybe can operate a little bit better at this point than where Sam Howell was at.
All right, so let me ask you this, and I don't think you have a proper answer to it, but I'll ask you anyway because you're covering it differently than the way I cover it. It's your job to try to figure out these answers. I think we all know that some changes are going to come, and probably in the near future. So have you heard anything about interests in potential people who might be the general manager or the coach of this team in the next, month or so?
Not. I mean, you hear. I mean, they were down at the owners' meetings, and there was the accelerator program where you have minority GM candidates there and all that. They clearly met with some of them. And it's not, but it's like, does that mean, I would say there'd be interest in some of these guys, like in Ian Cunningham, who's with the Bears, among others. Is that a guy, I think there'd be interest in him, but this group is not going to let out too much of what they're doing at this point out of respect for the people who are here. I don't think that's how they're going to operate. And I think it would have been how the last group operated. It's not how this group is going to operate. So I don't, so it's hard to say who the main interest is. I mean, I can tell you the names of the guys who are going to be the main candidates for any team, starting with Ben Johnson from Detroit, their OC. But I think after that, and I've been talking to a lot of people about this, just like the names that are going to be kind of a what do you like versus like here are the 5 obvious candidates. Like Ben Johnson, then Dan Quinn is going to be a guy. And then after that, it could be, could it be Frank Smith from Miami, the OC? Could it be Mike McDonald from the Ravens, the defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
Could it be, the offensive coordinator, Dave Canales from Tampa Bay? right? Like that guy has worked with young quarterbacks or helped, get, coax more out of quarterbacks, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, than what people thought they could do. So could it be, but it's just, so it's going to be fit and just how do you feel with this guy versus here are the 5 obvious candidates.
Okay, let me ask this other question then, and let me just get this out of the way, and I don't think this is realistic, but Jim Harbaugh will not answer a question about going to the pros. So considering that we're all expecting an opening to be here, do you think it is possible that Jim Harbaugh would be of interest to the new ownership group?
I don't see that. I don't see that being the case, but I can't say no. Like I would say no to Bill Belichick. With Harbaugh, it just doesn't seem like a good fit.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't. Now having said, we all know like he'd be a big name, and I'm not going to rule it out because I don't know for sure. But I just wonder about the fit. He's a guy like you. First of all, they want to hire the GM to hire the coach. So that's the preferred method of operating for this group. So I don't know what a GM would want, but I don't, and I think analytics is going to play a role in their hires and how people view analytics. Doesn't mean they have to be wedded only to analytics and base everything off that, but it's got to play a role in how you do things. I don't know that that's the case with him. He's also a guy that has a reputation after a few years of being difficult for management, to say the least. So it just doesn't seem like he'd be the fit.
Yeah. All right, last thing. We get 2 reunions. Trent Williams is back here for the first time since he left to go to San Francisco. And we've got Chase Young coming back. So what are you thinking about with both of those players as they return here this weekend?
Well, one was the first big move Rivera made in having to trade Trent, and one was one of the last big moves he'll make, which is trading Chase. And it's unfortunate that neither one worked out here. And Trent was deeply unfortunate because you knew how good he was. And I can't blame them for how it unfolded because the reason why Trent was so upset stemmed from the previous group. And a lot of what he wanted, even people at the time, Bram, when he first was not showing up, like he just wants a new contract. And Trent even admitted that, if they give me a new contract, I would stay. But I think he was kind of done here. He met with Rivera. It sounded like the meeting went well, and a day later, he's like, I'm out. So, and I know that they weren't going to, I know from this group's perspective, they didn't want to extend him until they got to know him, right? Or just was in their system. It's unfortunate. And it would have been better had Bruce Allen handled it better. Whether you pay him, if you're not going to pay him, then trade him. The hard part with all that, though, is that his health was still an issue, but you could have traded him and gotten more than what they ultimately ended up getting. So, with Chase, it didn't work out, and for a lot of reasons. And whether it was part of its fit, I think they got tired of kind of trying to get him to fit into what they wanted him to do and how they wanted to do it. And the knee was an issue. But it's unfortunate. He's a second pick in the draft and he was gone and he didn't get to a second contract here. That's unfortunate. And it's partly why this team is where they're at, that he didn't become, for a variety of reasons, did not become the impact player that they needed him to be. And injuries certainly played a role in that, but it's unfortunate. Both of them are kind of symbolic of this organization and how things have gone.
Yep. All right, I'll see you out at FedEx Field on Sunday. Thanks as always.
All right, Bram.
All right. Yep. Happy New Year. That's John Keim from ESPN and John Keim Report. We'll get a preview of Week 17 next. Bram, watch the show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. Of course, had a big year in 2023, but not as big as Taylor, baby. Taylor owns the world. Taylor hearts Travis.
No Taylor today.
No Taylor. I can't believe you didn't put that in for 2023.
Technically,
Eras Tour.
No.
Travis Kelce. She's owned it.
Sure, but under my circumstances, technically no new music this year.
No new music.
Right. Midnight's came out last year, and everything else she released this year was re-released. So, no. And plus, this is from the Barbie movie, which I feel like we need to mention as well, which was crazy good as well.
Wow. Wow, look at this. Josh Harris not done buying things. Commanders, 76ers, Devils owner Josh Harris and David Blitzer have acquired a majority stake in the 115-acre youth sports complex at the Hall of Fame Village in Canton, Ohio.
Oh, okay then.
How about that?
All right.
Okay. All right.
Where is that in relation to the actual Hall of Fame?
It's right there.
It is? Okay. Because last time I was there, it's just all houses. So.
Yeah. This is funny. Stuart Mandel tweeted this one out. CBS went there. They showed a graphic. J.J. McCarthy before and after Connor Stallions resigned. 8 games, 78% completion percentage, 225 yards a game, 18 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. After he resigned, 5 games, 68.6% completion percentage, 166 yards per game, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Now, in fairness, the 5 games that he played, 3 of them are Iowa, Ohio State, Penn State.
Right.
They didn't play any of those.
Yeah, the schedule stacks
the
up
first
the second half.
8, East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, Indiana.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Guys.
We know this works, too. The first half is never the good teams in college football.
Guys. All right, here we go. Week 17, we're here. Final weekend of 2023
Still not the final
in the
weekend
NFL.
of the year, though.
Not the final weekend of the NFL season, but the final weekend of the 2023 calendar year.
Yes.
We've got a full-on Texas Chainsaw Massacre tomorrow night, where it's Dan Campbell and the knee-biting Lions taking on Jara and the Cowboys with a shot at the 1 seed on the line here. Dallas loses, then the door is wide open for Philadelphia to just take the division. Dallas will also be out of the running for the 1 seed. They need to win to have any shot at it. They're going to need San Francisco to lose one of the next 2, and this weekend it's going to be tough to paint a picture for that one to happen. Lions could get to 12-4, living up to all of the preseason hype and expectations.
How is there only 1 game on tomorrow, by the way?
It's a good question.
There should be
Must
2.
be a lot of college football going on tomorrow.
Still, there should be 2 because there's no Monday night football game because of the college football playoff.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah.
Let's see. Ooh, this is a toughie. Tough. Cowboys at home. I'll take the Cowboys at home.
I don't think you overthink it. Cowboys at home, not to mention Detroit locked it up. It's kind of like
locked up their division, but they got the 1 seed is in play for them.
They're Detroit. They're celebrating that. They're not going to just let that go by the wayside.
They were hugging a lot.
Right. They were crying.
Which
I don't blame them. Like, it's the first time they ever won that division since its inception, which was 30 years ago or whatever it was. So they probably had a down week in practice. I'm going Cowboys here. Don't overthink it.
Cowboys have been great at home. 7-0 at home. So this will be their last home game as they come here to finish out their season. Cowboys then would have an outside shot at the 1 seed, but they need the 49ers to lose a couple times for that to happen. So it's unlikely. I think for Dallas, more than anything, they just need to somehow sneak into winning the division, which remains implausible to me with the Eagles' schedule down the road here, but they've been so weird, who knows?
Right.
And honestly, I think we could get a Week 18 surprise if the Giants knock off the Eagles because they almost got them anyway the other day. It's going to be up in the Meadowlands, and they'll have nothing to play for and all that stuff. All right, so give me the Cowboys here. 28-23. How about that? Something like that.
Too close. I'll go 31-20. Cowboys.
Pats and Bills, baby. Okay. So you have to pick Buffalo.
Yes.
They're at home.
Yes.
They're a better team.
Yes.
Patriots have been competitive since old Zappy Zap
scored
took
a
over.
lot more.
Scored a lot more. The Bills have been weird, and y'all know it. So could they no-show a little bit, or could Billy Bill get Joshy Josh to throw a couple of picks here or there? I don't know. It's impossible for me to pick the Patriots to win here.
Correct.
But the Bills are not to be trusted. So I'll take them. That spread is 14.
Bad spread.
Bills 24, Patriots 16. How about that?
You did this again. You want to know what the over-under is?
What, 40?
Yeah. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over on that. That's two little points with the Bills. Because
I
Patriots
can't pick the Patriots to score a lot, but This is a car wreck game. All right,
Sure.
Those people are going to lose their minds. They might not make the playoffs if they lose this game. I don't think they will. I don't think they will. But the Bills also almost lost to the Chargers a week ago. Don't forget that. They are not to be trusted. I don't know why, because their team's better than this, and their quarterback is all world. So I don't know why, but like them being in a tight, white-knuckle game wouldn't surprise me, actually, because they're just not to be trusted. And what's the pregame speech going to be about from old McDermott? What's that one going to be about?
That I won't predict. What I will say is this. That crowd, New Year's Eve, way lubed up.
Oh, yeah.
Not going to be a tense body in there. They're going to be fine. Home field advantage will get them through.
Okay. Falcones at Bears.
Ew.
The Heineke show shows up to Chicago with the Falcons trying to hang in there for the NFC South Championship. They're going to need Tampa Bay to lose along the way. Mm-hmm. Bears have been a lot better in recent weeks, specifically on defense. Heineke's actually missed time this week. He's been limited in practice. They're going to lose if he doesn't play. Heineke, though, knows where his bread is buttered, and I'm sure is going to show up and, put on the hero jacket again.
Right.
Give me the Bears at home to knock them off in probably a lowish scoring game because Atlanta doesn't really score a lot anyway and doesn't really, I saw somebody tweet something that was hilarious. It was like, the Falcons are like if the Golden State decided not to run their offense through Steph and Clay.
Right, exactly.
It was like one of those things. Like, just imagine that.
They did that last week, though.
They did.
So,
give me the Bears here, 20-19. How about that? And Art has a weird look on his face like he farted on the sideline all day.
Over-under on that one, 38 points, so you're about right on it there. I'll take the over on that, too. Both those teams actually sneaky good at scoring at least 3 touchdowns, so I'll take the over on the points on that one and pick the Bears.
Ooh, Darts versus Mark Davis. It's a great owner matchup. In the bracket, that would be a 12-5 upset, I think. Raiders Colts. Raiders defense has been turned around big time since the coaching change. Their offense is woefully terrible.
Yep.
The Colts laid a turd last week. Turn around, they're back home. They actually haven't been good at home. I'm going to ride the Raiders here and the Antonio Pierce train that they figure out to score enough to win this game. Their defense is rip-roaring right now. 20-14. Raiders.
I'll take a step back here. 2 mediocre teams. Raiders had a Monday afternoon game, division rival. I'm going let down here. I think the Colts win barely. I wouldn't touch the spread.
I think these guys want him to get this job. I think they're playing for this dude.
Colts have been able to score though throughout the season. I'm not buying the Raiders defense. I chalk that more up to Kansas City being screwed up last week than the Raiders defense being good. I'll take the Colts here at home. I wouldn't touch this game though at all.
McVay and the Rambos go up to take on Tyrod Taylor. No more cutlets and the Giants.
Yep.
Rams are playing for the playoffs. If they win, they're in.
Yep.
And that also means because they can't win their division, they can rest everybody.
Right.
Week 18. They're going to go there and do that.
Yep,
they're going to go and beat the Giants. And I bet handily, 31-14.
I'll go lower scoring than that. I'll go like 24 or 10, something like that.
You know who's not going to be bothered by Wink Martindale blitzing every play? McVay or Stafford.
That's right, yeah. Right.
So good luck when they put those guys on an island with Kupp and Puka. Forget it.
Right.
Rams win easily. In fact, they're going to have 2 or 3 long touchdown plays in this game. 31-10, Rambos.
Why are they the Rambos? I've never heard that in my life.
Well, I'm making stuff up. Let's see. Cardinals, Eagles. Most miserable 11-win team of all time. Taking on a team, how could they possibly lose to them? It's the return of, you take the bus, that guy. The guy they blamed.
He's had them play hard, though. He's had them playing hard, though.
He also, I know he's motivated because they threw him under the bus for the Super Bowl loss.
Yep,
they blamed him for all of that.
I mean, they didn't stop the Chiefs in the second half. I mean,
the Eagles almost lost to the Giants, like unraveled and almost lost to the Giants. This being close will not surprise me for a second.
Did Call of Duty come out this week?
I am not picking against Philadelphia. Not unlike against the Giants. I'm not picking against Philadelphia because they just seem to find a way to win.
Right.
But they don't like each other right now. They're too tense or whatever it is on their sideline. They're the weirdest 11-win team I've ever seen in my life. Eagles 24, Cardinals 20. I bet you it's close.
I would say
their defense isn't good, the Eagles, by the way, right now. So that's why the Cardinals will score some points.
Cardinals cover that 11.5. That's a really big spread. Take the under on the points here, too. 48. That's a high-scoring affair. It's not going to be that high-scoring.
Last stand for the Saints. They take on the Buccaneers. If the Buccaneers win, they win the division. Mm-hmm. It's over.
Kamara listed as questionable, by the way.
Kamara questionable. Carr, walk the plank if you lose.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's
full
happening regardless.
It's hard. I mean, just the way things are kind of going, it's hard not to pick Tampa Bay. So I will. Probably close game, but I will pick them. Yeah. 24-17. Tampa.
Got it.
Let's see. Niners play the Commanders. No comment. Panthers at the Jaguars. Jags win. They haven't been great. Spread's really low. Spread's 4. Can you believe that? Spread is 4.
I mean, Panthers almost came back last week against the Packers.
They did. I'll take the Jags to win here, 24-13, something like that.
I'll take the Jags here too. I'm gonna hit a pause button for you though. All the games you just said are at 1:00, including 49ers Commanders. Why?
Yeah, I agree. Why?
There's 3 4:00 games.
Why?
Steelers, we're going to get to them. Steelers, Seahawks, Bengals, Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos. You guys couldn't flex a single one or two of those into 4:00?
Right,
what are we doing here?
Right. Plus, it's a West Coast crowd that's got the West Coast crowd's the one that's interested in the 49ers one.
Like NFL. Guys. Like, Red Zone's going to be crack at 1:00. I get it, but come on. We got 2 weeks left of this. Let's savor it a little bit.
Well, the other one, too, why didn't you move Dolphins-Ravens into that?
By the way, yeah, they were talking about that, how, it must have been a protected game. No, it's also on CBS, so it's not a protected game. I don't get it. I don't know what the NFL's doing with that one. So, anyways.
Dolphins-Ravens. Ooh, daddy. Ravens have to bounce back off of what was a dominant win the other day. Best win of the season by anybody. Dolphins got away with one against Dallas, but impressively did it.
Right.
No Jalen Waddle this week. Tyreek doesn't look like himself, but he should be fine. Spread is just 3.5, so they're basically just calling home field advantage here. It's hard to pick against the Ravens. I mean, like, what else do they need to prove? So until shown otherwise, I'll pick them again. Dolphins on the road haven't been as good as they are at home. So give me the Ravens by a touchdown. That's what I'll take.
Yeah, Ravens win this game. They are just rolling. That home field advantage for them is legitimate too. Get-in price is over $200. I haven't seen a Ravens game that expensive in a long time. It's going to be a good crowd.
Titans-Texans. C.J. Stroud is back. They've been good at home. Give me the Texans. 24-16. Steelers-Seahawks. Well. That's an LOL game. 8-7 versus 8-7. Pittsburgh shows up. Mason Rudolph's playing again.
Don't overthink this.
Take Seattle?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll go the other way then. Give me Pittsburgh.
I'll take Seattle. Home field advantage. Pittsburgh's traveling.
I mean, this is pass.
Yeah, for sure.
Undoubtedly pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chargers, Broncos. Jarrett Stidham versus Easton Stick. Does Russell Wilson, is he even on the sideline? That's going to be an interesting question. Do they tell him to go home?
Maybe.
I mean, what kind of stink is he making this week?
Yeah.
His entourage must be upset. Whoever's running his TikTok is not happy today.
Not happy.
Give me the I kind of want to pick the Chargers now. Give me the Chargers. Again, pass, because both teams are weird, but I'll just pick the Chargers to be funny. Give me them.
You forget Stidham balled out last year. Stidham's going to win this game.
Easton Stick, hon.
Who? Right.
Bengals Chiefs. Look, the Chiefs are messed up, and the Bengals are 8-7. So you can sit there, Burrow. And what's your point? They lost to some dude I've never heard of last week at home. Those people are going to lose their cookies. Is Taylor showing up to this one, or is she done with them?
New Year's Eve. She's definitely.
Oh, she'll be there.
Yeah.
Give me the Chiefs to bounce back, because how could they not?
Yeah,
I mean, they've done it too many times, and they win the division, right? If they win this game,
right.
I'll take them here, but I expect it to be close. This Jake Browning guy's been okay, like good enough, puts up enough numbers. I'll take I don't like Jamar Chase calling out the Chiefs defense too, which has been good this year. I think that was a mistake. He doesn't have Burrow with him this time. Give me the Chiefs. No more Burrowhead. Give me the Chiefs.
Same thing. Don't overthink it. Chiefs.
And then the night game is Packers and the Vikings, and then who knows? The Vikings are playing like their 8th quarterback now. Green Bay's weird. They had to suspend Jair Alexander because he made himself a captain last week.
Yeah.
He wasn't
called it wrong. He didn't call the coin toss correctly.
He wasn't a captain. He said, my coach didn't know I'm from Charlotte, so I made myself a captain.
Right.
And then LaFleur was like, it's a lot of things why we suspended him. So they're acting weird.
Well, did you hear what happened with the coin toss, though? The refs asked him what he wanted to do, and he said, I want our defense out there. He didn't say I want to kick or receive. And they were like, the refs knew, so they kind of helped him along, but they were like, that could have ended, like, I forget which reporter was like, that could have ended in a scenario where you gave them the ball 2 times.
That's right.
And he was like, it was fine.
Yeah,
like,
it worked out, didn't it?
No, it wasn't.
Well, that didn't happen.
Considering the score was last week.
Give me the Vikings. I'll take the Vikings. I mean, that's a weird, again, pass. I wouldn't touch that,
I'll
but
go
like.
Packers. I'll go Packers.
Give me the Vikings at home.
Vikings are starting another quarterback. Give me the Vikings.
The Packers almost lost to the Panthers last week. They're weird.
So are the Vikings.
KOC, baby.